Welcome to the show. Hi, I'm Randy Jeffers, and we are live from the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, we have a special guest here today, Bruce Snidak, who is a Bitcoin proponent, aficionado. What should we call you?
The guy that likes them a lot. Fair enough. No, I like Bitcoin a lot, and all currencies and stuff like that. So we'll share that.
Well, I think this is a show you definitely don't want to miss. Bitcoins are something that is new. It's sort of a little bit new, especially for most people, but they've been around since, I think, in early 2000s, maybe?
Right.
2000.
They started off early and didn't get any traction because it was just really kept in a small circle until finally it started to exchange a little bit more. People started becoming aware of it, and that's when they created some value. So it went from a couple of cents a coin to over $1,200 for each unit. So you have to explain what the coin really means, because it's not like a physical coin, really.
Yeah, let's start there. If you were to describe what a Bitcoin is, how would you do that?
And I guess the best way to say it would be it's an electronic currency or a store of value. And just like, let's say gold, let's use gold as an instance. If you have a gold coin and I traded with someone, they would say that they could exchange that gold coin for dollars or yen or some other currency. But it's a physical matter. So you take a gold coin and say, here's your coin, give me some exchange, some notes back.
Right.
In the world of digital, the zeros and ones just travel around the internet. So basically you'll have a wallet which will hold your store of value. So if you reached into my wallet right now, I'd pull out a couple of dollars, a couple of credit cards, maybe some debit cards. So that's my medium of exchange right now. People understand credit cards, where before you had to carry around a pile of dollars before they said, okay, just put it on the card. Or if you had a debit card, then right away the money goes straight off for the services. Bitcoin is a similar way of doing it, where we were able to transfer funds from one person to another, which is basically called peer-to-peer, or to a merchant. So if I had Bitcoin, which takes a couple minutes to explain what that is, in an electronic wallet, I could go over and buy services or products using this medium of exchange.
Now, Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. That sounds
Right.
sort of
Crypto sounds like
space age,
spy
right?
meets spy or something, you know. Crypto just meaning it's encoded, like in music. Music is encoded, so it's basically zeros and ones. But after it goes through some electronics, it comes out to the speakers, and you hear it, and you go, "Wow, how did that happen?" Because it was encoded using a digital algorithm or formula, and then eventually comes out where people can recognize it. Just like this video production right now, it gets translated into zeros and ones, transferred around the world, and somebody can be able to see this video right now. It's the same way as if you wanted to move money around, just zeros and ones, just data going from point A to another point. So, carrying on what you just said, if I wanted to get money moved from here to across the country, typically we do what? We go off to a Western Union, you'd go off maybe to a bank and get a wire transfer. So those are the old school ways of moving money from place to place. Using Bitcoin, you can do it a lot more efficiently with a lot less cost to be able to move the funds. And I'm not an expert on the cost of remittances and what it's like to be able to move money around, but I do know that Bitcoin allows you to be able to move an equivalent of dollars or whatever from one place to another quickly. I can give you an example here if you want to hear.
Yes, please. Yeah.
For instance, is this. Just yesterday, I'm with a friend that's a local real estate agent, and he's a pretty clever guy. He's been doing real estate here for a long time. And I mentioned to him about Bitcoin, and he says, well, geez, it's really complex. It's really hard to be able to figure that out and all that stuff. He says, no, it's not. So the first thing we did was he opened up his smartphone, got to have a smartphone, and he downloaded an application. The application was a wallet. So once he loaded the wallet down, which cost him nothing, basically he had almost like a checking account with no dollars in it now. So I took my phone and I said, I'm going to send you $1.23 right now. So I punch it in and I said, what's your address? And we go back and forth making the exchange. So I move $1.23, American $1.23, which has an equivalent in Bitcoin, because just like a dollar with gold goes up and down every day based on supply and demand and factors, so does a Bitcoin or one of these digital currencies goes up and down accordingly. So here's Bruce. I fire over $1.23 to him, and he's this close to me right now. So he looks on his wallet, and it happened pretty quickly. He now has $1.23 of my money. So that's not much. There's not that much you can do with it. But what hit him really hard was the fact that it went out to the ethers and came back, and it was just like me giving him $1.23 here. So he asked me, what can I do with this and where can I send it? So the point was, that was really moved him a lot, was I could take that same $1.23 that I just sent you right now, and you could send it to a third world country or wherever else where you want to send it to the not that it's a third world country, but some of these other places where $1.23 really goes a long way. So he said, I don't have to go to a bank, I don't have to do anything. No, the same process that we just went through right now, you can send that same $1.23 to just about anywhere in the world, as long as they have a smartphone with that application that receives that money with an electronic wallet. That makes sense?
Yeah, you know, that it sounds almost too good to be true, doesn't it? It's very space age, very modern. Now, I understand Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, but it's also a system. It's bigger than just being a currency, right?
Right. In order to keep it, a very good point, because if you just manufacture money, who's to stop from making more money, like monopoly money? If all of a sudden you got a monopoly game and you're playing with one game, somebody else comes over with a whole bunch more monopoly money from another game, it changes the supply and demand equation, right? Oh, I've got all kinds of $500 bills right now. Whereas in Bitcoin, there's a lot of, it's called open source, so the whole community. So it's not one person deciding whether they should print some more of them or not. There's a process in place that makes it very difficult to what they call mine Bitcoin. And mining is a process which we go off to if we wanted to. That's a whole other conversation. But it keeps the supply and demand in check. So therefore, as Bitcoins come out into the market, the demand moderates the price of those. So if there's a lot of people asking for Bitcoin right now, then it causes the price to go up. If everybody's trying to sell their Bitcoin right now, the price goes down. So there's a lot of reasons. So the first thing that comes to mind is, why would you want to hold Bitcoin rather than a packet full of dollars in your pocket or whatever? Recently, I don't know if you followed this at all, but what happened in Greece when there's some economic turmoils going in Greece where they allowed people only to get like $60 out of the ATM or whatever. So people were lined around the block to what? To go there and get their paper currency out so they could buy groceries or pay their rent or whatever else they had to do. Whereas Bitcoin is not subordinate to the banks or to one party, where it's actually an exchange worldwide. So you're able to use that to those same people that were standing in line, if they had Bitcoin in their electronic wallet, would have been able to do a peer-to-peer exchange or found someone else. Just as though they had little gold coins or whatever and said, you want one of these? I'll trade you one of these for whatever services or products they wanted. So
it's a fascinating field, and I want to hear more. But before before we do that, I know that you have an opportunity, a business opportunity, a way to that all of us can participate and maybe make some money from the Bitcoin industry. And let's give your website out first. We'll do a little commercial here.
Sure, thank you. And you can go to a website, www, and go to Gladia Coin, not with an S, singular, gladiacoin.com / if you wanted to reach me, then easy time, 6 characters, E as in electric, Z, T-I-M-E, easy time. So it's gladiacoin.com.
Okay, let's spell that out so that everybody knows. But if you get your pencil out now, it's www.gladia, Gladia, coin, there's no spaces or anything, COIN.com, and then / easy, so E-Z, T-I-M-E, easy time. Okay.
No,
great.
Let me clarify that, because that is a self-replicated website, or it's a portion of a website, which is my extension associated with the company. Now, I should clarify that I'm, independent agent. I'm not, one of the managers or presidents or any, title within the company. But I found them to be a company that allows me to be able to grow my Bitcoin a little bit faster than other areas. So if you want to go into that section, I can tell you a little bit about.
Yeah, let's talk about, you mentioned mining, and I know it's a very complicated, I mean, you could probably talk for hours and about but it'd be very complicated and probably hard for most of us to listen to. But real quickly, just for the layman, if you could describe what mining is in just a short time.
Well, computers are fast. They're able to do things at incredible speeds. When people think of mining, they think of digging, a shovel and pulling ore out of the ground. But back to that supply chain. If you could just take a printing press and print dollar bills, then all you would need is a very, very fast printing press to print more of them, right? Just like a fast copier. Prints 20 pages or 50 pages a minute. So the people that devised this Bitcoin strategy said, we have to keep the supply chain in check. So what we'll do is create some sort of mathematical formula called an algorithm that's kind of difficult to be able to solve. So if I said to you right now, what's 3 times 5 times 2, you'd go da-da-da-da-da, and you come up with an answer. If I gave you a real incredibly long formula, it would take you that much more time to solve that formula. Well, as computers get faster and faster, they've built into the system to make those algorithms or those ability to solve problems very, very complex. So whereas as processing and speed power computers get faster, the challenge is to be able to make more complicated riddles or questions or whatever, answers to algorithms to be able to solve that. So as one side of the equation gets faster, they make it more difficult. So that throttles or basically brings Bitcoin into the market at a slow rate rather than all of a sudden somebody saying, here's a whole bunch of them right now, which would cause the supply and demand chain to fall. So there's, I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe there's supposed to be like 30 million of them minted over time, and then that would stop. I could be wrong on that number, but that's the number that sticks in my mind. At that point, they will stop minting any. So it's just like anything else. It reminds me always of the old collector pennies, like the old 1909 pennies and all the ones that had collector value. They don't make any more of them.
Wheat straws, yeah.
Wheat straws, right. So those penny became, how much are they worth? They're worth a penny to the U.S., right? You go in, you get 100 of them, and you'll get $1. But you'll find people in the open market that look at that and say, wow, that's a beautiful penny. I'll give you $1 for it. I'll give you $100 for it. What's the supply.
Or you go to the coin collector and he has a value.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's I always think of this way. It's like this wonderful thing that was growing up, this 1909 SVDB penny, right? It was just so special, and it was worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, whatever. If someone were to find rolls and rolls of those in San Francisco where they were minted, and somebody goes underneath and they go into the garage and they lift up a couple boxes and they find thousands of these, what would happen to the value of that penny that you have and everybody else that's been collecting? It'd probably nosedive, right?
Probably
because the supply's whereas Bitcoin, you can't make any more of them. They come out, they're throttled out slowly. That way, it's as they come into the system, being mined, just as you said, then what happens is they're on the open market. So if a lot of people want them, it drives the price up. If a lot of people unload them and just say, geez, I want to be able to sell the ones because I made a profit on it, then it goes down. And this company, Gladia Coin, has worked the system. If people that understand, if the audience understands Forex trading, they'll understand that there's a way of being able to make money based on the exchanges of different currencies. As they go up and down, the dollar against the yen, or against this, against that, they can trade all those currencies, and generally they make money doing that because they use computers to be able to manage the buy and sell orders. This company, Gladia Coin, has been reported, the way I understand it, to do exactly the same thing with Bitcoin because of the fact that there's a lot of fluctuation. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up. So if they can manage the difference between the highs and the lows on given days, they're able to pull money out of that to be able to use. So the strategy with Gladia Coin, the way they do this, is to say, give us not dollars now, give us a Bitcoin or a portion thereof, because I guess your audience should know that a dollar can be broken into 100 pieces, right? You got a dollar, you can break it into 100 pennies. Right. You can't get anything smaller than a penny right now. Whereas a Bitcoin, I think it has like 10 digits or something. So, so you can go off and say, when I gave my friend the $1.23, I was giving him a very, very small fraction of a Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin has been vacillating around 1,200, up and down, up and down. So
$1,200
US dollars
per Bitcoin.
Per Bitcoin.
Okay.
So Of course, it has a different number if you compare it to yen. It has a different number if you compare it to...
And it's changing every minute, right?
And it's changing
All
every
the
minute.
time. Yeah.
And because it's highly volatile, goes up and down, that gives these other companies that work on these fancy computer system for arbitrage or whatever, where they're looking at the spreads back and forth, they're able to go through and be able to make their nickels in the exchanges. Just as though right now, I said, I've got an ounce of gold, I will sell it to you, and you'll say, okay, at a fixed price. Now, if you go over to sell it to someone else, they'll probably give you less because there's something in the exchange. They want their nickel for being able to make the exchange. So if you can do those exchanges fast and be smart, you'll be able to make some money. Now, I'm not smart enough to be able to write computer programs for algorithms for all this, but I have recognized a company that is pretty clever in how they're doing that. So if you'd like, I could explain what they...
Yeah, please.
There's a lot of... Before I do, though, there's a lot of moving parts, and people have to understand some of the technology and some of the terms that go along it. Because I'll go back to what you said in a minute, and then I'll go right into the company. Something called the blockchain was important, because I told you about minting, you asked me about mining.
Yes.
But who polices all this? Who's out there to make sure that the right people are doing what they say they do? So they've created this thing called blockchain, and that's actually is just the method that Bitcoin uses to be able to monitor to make sure that the coins are moving properly between person to person. This blockchain can be used for a lot of other things like smart contracts. So when people start looking at one thing, it leads them into another, into another. That's why I'm excited about the technology, because my background was computer programming and the ability to make sure that when you move some data from one place to another, it didn't come like sort of close, it was exactly. Because if you're starting to move large volumes of money, you can't just say, we missed a penny here, penny there, sooner or later. So this blockchain is important.
To 10 digits.
To 10 digits. I was at a friend was, they were saying, anybody here own any Bitcoin? Because it was like 10 cents when it originally came. The guy raises his hand, he says, I have $20 worth, right? And he interpreted it as, person bought $20 worth of Bitcoin when it was 10 cents a coin. If that's the case, he has a lot of money. He didn't. He bought $20 worth of Bitcoin, a fraction of one coin, $20 worth, at when it was $1,200.
Oh, I see.
But there are people out there that actually were early adopters of Bitcoin, and you'll find them every now and then that said, somebody told me to put in $100 or $200 in Bitcoin, and they bought it at 10 cents, 20 cents, and now it's sitting there. They're millionaires, and some of them just don't know it yet until they find out. They look in their portfolio and find some Bitcoin.
Interesting.
Okay,
so for the average person, for those of us that are watching, how do we use Bitcoin? What does it really mean to us?
Well, besides the ability, like I just said, to exchange quickly from peer to peer.
But how would I do that? I'm just a regular guy, I have a job.
Sure.
How do I do it?
The first thing you would do, I'll go to the classic example. What I did with my buddy who's a real estate agent. I said, you have a smartphone, I have a smartphone. Download this app. There's lots of different wallets, so there's not like just one wallet that's an international wallet. You can have, just like there's many different kinds of banks. So it took him a minute. He downloaded an e-wallet. At that point in time, I said, now send me a request that you want some Bitcoin. So he sent a request. Now I have the option of saying how much I want to send them. I could send them $1.23 or $23. So I chose to send them $1.23. So all we did at that point in time is he sent me like a long number, a string of letters and numbers. He sent that over to me. That was basically his wallet ID. Just like a social security number would be to a person, this long string of numbers is just like his bank account number. So I took that number and I cut and pasted it into my wallet, and then I put in a number that I wanted to, and I hit send. As soon as I hit send, now we're waiting for it to land, going through the blockchain, through all the ethers and the clouds and everywhere else, until it lands on his wallet. Now he has $1.23 in Bitcoin. Now, later in the day, he says, how come I have $1.64 there? I said, because the exchange rate has changed on Bitcoin to dollars. So he made himself a couple of pennies because it went in the right direction. Equally as bad, he could say, how come I only have 99 cents here? Because it went in the opposite direction. So, to address your question, now he has $1.23 sitting on his wallet. What can he do with it? Okay, there's lots of options. There's a couple of websites, if anybody wants to reach out to me, where they can get credit card. I don't want to promote just one specific, credit card company or whatever. You can get debit cards with these or credit cards. So the same thing that you use your debit card for, to go to Walmart, to go to get your coffee, to do anything with, is exactly the same. All you're doing is just changing at whatever rate it is today, the Bitcoin, to turn it into $100 for your gift card. Then you take your gift card, go off to Walmart, go off to anywhere you want, and buy your goods.
You can use it pretty much anywhere.
Anywhere. There are people right now that are going around the world with that, just to prove that they can actually not take a dollar or not take any currency at all and go from place to get their airline ticket in Bitcoin, get picked up at the airport, pay in Bitcoin, go all the way around and keep and buy, so that they're on a quest to do that. If you went back on, geez, it must have been about a couple months ago or whatever, 60 Minutes had a great piece on one of these alt currencies, cryptocurrencies. It wasn't Bitcoin, it was like a peso or something like that they were using in, I think it was one of the African countries. And the cab driver picks the lady up, they pay. They go off and she goes off and she does some shopping, one of the newscasters. So she was showing, it was a great demonstration on how she didn't have to reach into her purse and take out money. She was just using this alt currency within that country. When it comes to what's the de facto the mostly understood is Bitcoin, but there are hundreds of other ones that are wannabes, let's say, or they start up cryptocurrencies. Yeah. Right. But unless they have the checks and balances in place, like we said, the mining protection, and make sure that they don't all of a sudden, it's like, let's say it's like stock. If you issue 100 shares of stock and you put a value on it of $1, then everybody believes there's about $100 worth of stock out there. If you go back to your office afterwards and print up 1,000 more shares, are they still going to be worth $1? Well, not to those same people that just found that there's a whole bunch more on the market. It's not fair to them. So there has to be checks and balances to make sure that it's just handled properly. And we now don't have to deal with the Federal Reserve or any specific banking institution to do that, because it's like open source.
Yeah, very fascinating. Well, let's talk a little bit about Gladiacoin.
Okay. Gladiacoin is a company that has found a way to be able to use Bitcoin. So a person would say, like me for instance, says, I'm going to give you the use of my coin. So I'll give you either a fraction of a coin or more of a coin. So I got anywhere between $50 to thousands of dollars, many thousands of dollars if you want to say, use my Bitcoin right now to do your trading and move monies around. Now, what's our agreement? The agreement is if I give you my Bitcoin now, you'll give me back twice as much, 2x, in 90 days. Now, that's
in Bitcoins.
In Bitcoin.
Okay.
But that's a pretty good rate of return, right? So if I gave you 1 Bitcoin and I got 2 Bitcoins back, you're going to say, well, how much will that be worth? Well, what's the value? So let's just assume if Bitcoin was $1,000 rather than $1,200, I would now have doubled my money on that. But typically, in a lot of these programs that I've seen before, hard to get the money out. Okay, you ask, you request, limited amount of experience. Remember, I'm not a company expert here. I'm just a customer. So what I did was I put my Bitcoin in and allowed them to use it for a period of time, knowing that if I do absolutely nothing, I should have double my Bitcoin in 90 days. So sure enough, about 1/3 of the way into it, because they have my wallet in their computer system right now, they can't take money out of my wallet, but they can only put money in. It's just as if right now, like you gave me your bank account. If you gave me your bank account, I can go make a deposit into your account, but if I go to your bank right now and say I want to take some money out, I'm not Randy, okay? But I can definitely put money in your account. They'll be glad to have that happen. You would too. So the next thing is and big numbers are good. So the next thing that happened is they now have my wallet number. So Gladiacoin, about 1/3 of the way into it, gave me my money back. Not all of my money back, gave me 1/3. So if I did absolutely nothing for 90 days, at the end of 90 days, they would have given me multiple deposits back into my wallet to offset the, let's say, the Bitcoin that I put in. So now at 90 days, I'm dead even. But I still have a Bitcoin sitting that they're holding for me that I'll have a choice, like a certificate deposit would be in the bank. Either I renew it and let that roll around for another 90 days, or I say, no, I want it back out. So 90 days from now, just being passive, I basically doubled my Bitcoin. And on the website, you'll see a lot of videos that'll explain it a lot better than I do as to how and why and how they'll go through that.
So if we go to your website, then we'll be able to see some videos?
Absolutely. The videos there explain it a lot better than I do, you know.
Okay, let's do that one more time. It's www.gladia, Gladia, coin.com /EZ time, EZTIME,
Right. And if you didn't put the back end on it, the Easy Time, you'll still get the Gladiator coin. That's just the way that they point to me a little bit more by having that extension on the back there, that little suffix.
Okay, now if someone goes there and they decide they want to participate, then is there something for you? Are you part of a team, or how does that work?
Absolutely. There's so the first part is just being passive to say, I just want to put it in there and stand back. The other opportunity is they want to grow the business themselves. So they provide a method to be able to say, if you can bring other folks in to take a look at this, you know, you don't recommend, you don't do anything, you just say, take a look and see if you like this. If you like this, then maybe you want to participate. And if they do, then what happens is they say, well, I need somebody to be able to work with me, to be able to teach me about Bitcoin and how to be able to, you know, all the nuances. So people like me are independent reps, you know, not, you know, sanctioned by the company to represent them in any other way besides saying, here's what they offer, and I can share that with people like you. So now, if I build a team of folks doing that, they accelerate the process. So instead of waiting 90 days, they reward me a portion thereof for being able to bring folks in to be able to participate. And then based on some formulas that go along, the more you participate, the more you get, of course. It's an affiliate marketing program, so it allows people to be able to either sit back and do nothing, or to be able to recruit other people to take a look at it. I should say this, because it wasn't an enrollment where I got into something where I gave them my credit card and now I'm going to be monthly billed, so every month I'm going to get it and I'm going to see another withdrawal come out of there. It was a one-time only participation. You know, I loosely you say the word investment. I don't like saying investment as much as I like saying I just decided to participate in their program. So I put in my portion of Bitcoin, and after that, sat back and just waited. Did nothing for a while because I wanted to see if it did anything. So I watched as this team members that are above me in my team started to make it grow. So other people started coming in, and I started to see this building in participation, which of course reflects to me later to say, if I share the story, then I can get my 90 days accelerated a little bit faster. You're not forced to do it, but a lot of people will do it because they see how it's moving forward, and it's kind of exciting when you start seeing. If you go into your bank and you go in and say, what did I get for an interest rate today? And they say, well, we're paying 1% a year, so here's yours. You've got $500 in there. Here's the penny that we just gave you for your interest. It's a lot more exciting when you start to see the numbers get bigger faster.
Absolutely.
And Randy, the important thing is in the social aspect, you start meeting people, like-minded people that like Bitcoin or whatever, and it's just a way of meeting people that are not the same 8 to 5 that a lot of people do. The people that are more entrepreneurs, they're doing things, they're investigating. And that's all I can tell people right now is I'm not recommending do anything besides investigate. Take a good look at it. And like, we're in Vegas. People say, should I go gamble on the roulette wheel? Should I do this? Should I do that? I says, whatever you think is going to be lucky at the time, maybe you should do that. But I always caution them and says, don't take all your money from your mortgage payment and go to the casino and expect to double it, because that just may not happen.
Right.
The best thing you can do is look at it as entertainment. If you take $50 or $10 and you're playing a penny machine or a dollar machine or whatever you do, if you look at it as that as entertainment, then that's cool. If you look at it as this is an investment, I better double my money right now or whatever, then I think you're looking at it the wrong way. Look at it as entertainment with a lot of upside potential.
Oh, that's great. That's really good advice. Now, I know, Bruce, that you have some friends that are involved in Gladia Coin, and some of them are making some pretty amazing money, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the folks that really go after it, they decide not to, I'm more passive than anything. I sat back and said, my analytical side of me says, I really want to sit back and watch this for a while. After I seen it develop, I started talking to some of the folks that are in affiliate marketing programs, and there's lots of them out there that say it's the best thing they've ever seen because they don't have to have a garage full of inventory, so they're not sitting with a lot of product there. Second of all, the website is really elegant. The cost of entry to get in is very small. Once you get in and you see it, you'll say that they've got their act together as far as being able to report where you are. The other thing that's pretty significant, and I'll get back to the people in a minute, is that they don't make you go through a lot of hoops. Like every day when you wake up, make sure you have your cup of coffee and hit these 3 buttons and do this and do that. Otherwise, everything goes away and you got to start from beginning. So you can really just let things ride and not have to worry about micromanaging things. Some of the folks that I know are building strong organizations. So instead of taking this 90-day period for them to be able to mature their doubling, they're able to do it in days. So they're able to get in and find some folks together that are, it's a formula that they use called a binary system that finds people, and then once you match those up, other people come together and you get paid for that, because I find you and I find someone else, they come together, they both join, then the company rewards me a portion right away into my wallet for having done that. So I don't have to wait and say, when are the checks coming out? It's in Bitcoin. Bitcoin means it can travel very, very quickly. So the same thing that I sent my buddy the $1.23, he could have sent it right back to me in a heartbeat. So we could have been playing ping pong with $1.23 back and forth like this a lot. So therefore, it doesn't have you don't have to say the check's in the mail when it comes 3 days from now.
Now let me ask you, if you had done that, if you had sent the $1.23 back and forth, are there fees associated with that every time you do it?
It's marginal.
Okay.
So to send them $1.23, you're going to find that different wallets will command a little bit of that portion, but it's minute. It's not nearly the percentages that credit cards take or wire transfers or anything. It's meant to be basically peer-to-peer, because all it is just electronics. You don't need that third party there sitting there to be able to handle it. And that's why, banks are the way they are. Nothing wrong with banks. My mortgage is with a bank, so
Well, there could be soon.
yeah, they could be. It could be the Bitcoin,
Sure.
the Bank of the Bitcoin. There's a lot of them out there that are saying we don't need brick and mortar to be able to do that. All I need to do is to say, do I really need to sit across from a banker to be able to say, am I approved or disapproved?
Right.
All I do is, and if I'm disapproved, they'll send me a letter and saying, no, you're not. Or they'll say, come back in the office, now you've got to sign some documents. So with this blockchain, it allows people to use, again, this is a little bit away from Bitcoin, but it allows smart contracts to be done where 2 people agree. It's like an escrow company. If I do what I say and you do what you say, then the deal is executed. And it doesn't require lawyers and contracts, so there's it's basically bringing some government back to the people, or at least the transactional side of that, you know what I mean?
Well, speaking of the government, what's the government's view of Bitcoin?
I can't really speak. I'm not a government official to speak for it. But the word on the street is that they're certainly allowing. If you look at just the United States, we're behind in the Bitcoin acceptance. Japan, I believe, just declared it a currency. So now you can pay your utility bills or anything else, or you can buy and trade and stuff with Bitcoin rather than the currency themselves. So there's a couple of websites to go out. I'll just tell those out to your viewers. I would look at Coindesk, COINDESK.com. That's a good one to talk about Bitcoins. They have a lot of relevant articles with that, so you'd like that. Of course, the Gladia coin one I just told you about. And then there's WRLD, WorldCoinIndex.com, and it'll share a whole bunch of the other ones. You'll see Bitcoin is generally at the top because not millions of billions can be traded in the course of a day in Bitcoin. And my $1.23 that day was just a part of it.
Now, if someone that's watching us right now is really interested and says, hey, I'd like to learn more, but I need my hand held a little bit, is it possible that they could contact you?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love it.
Okay.
There's a lot of information out there, but there's a right way to do that. And straight away, you watch out for the folks that, are very anxious to be able to make you and your Bitcoin part, right? So
now, is your email on the website?
Yes, it is, as well as I think we were going to put it on the screen here as well.
Yeah, let's go ahead and give that out if
okay, I can do that right now, because that's the easiest way to get me. If I could give my phone number, but the phone rings and it's difficult. Just go to Vegas, VEGAS, and then Gladia, GLADIA.
Vegas Gladia.
So it's Vegas Gladia, @gmail.com.
Okay, that's pretty simple.
Yeah, I tried to make it simple. And here we are in Vegas, and we're talking about Gladius.
All
so
right, and
they
just
should
say,
make
hey,
it easy.
Bruce, I want to. And now, if they live here, could they just meet with you? Maybe have
Oh,
a cup of
absolutely.
coffee with you?
We
and
have
learn more?
there's little meetup groups that we have where there's a lot of folks that have certain disciplines. Like there was, it was years ago. Somebody was selling their house. They wanted to sell it in Bitcoin. It was on the front page of the business news. House. I think it was like a $400,000 house, and they wanted Bitcoin. But obviously, why did they want that? Because they wanted the notoriety. They wanted to see their house on the front page. So what does that mean? A lot of viewers, right? So house sold pretty quickly, and it didn't have to be in Bitcoin, but it got people's attention because it's a buzzword.
Absolutely.
For the viewing audience that haven't heard about Bitcoin at all, ask 5 people. Just go. And they can be doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs. It can be anything, right? And say, "Have you heard of Bitcoin?" And a lot of them they won't want to say no because they've got this impression of what it is, but you'll see their head tilt a little like, I really don't know exactly. So I'm an advocate for finding out information. If you can find out information, it'll allow you to make a smart decision, and if it's for you or for not. There'll be people. If you talk to the bankers, they might say a different story. They might say, oh, that's one of those things that's going to come and go. But it hasn't come and gone in years. And they could say that about gold as well, because if we remember back when you'd have a silver certificate, a piece of paper, said that was redeemable in silver by the Treasury or whatever, or a gold certificate. Now it just says it's a promissory note. Well, here's a piece of paper. We promise to pay you, but everybody uses it. And I shouldn't say, because more and more, there's less and less paper going around as it moves electronic. For instance, I was at one of the, in here, just on the street from here, is a condominium timeshare place. And they didn't take cash. You go into the commissary, it was cashless register. So you either paid by debit card or you paid by credit card, but you wouldn't give them a 20 and expect any change back over there. So I was moving fast. It made me think I should have went back and asked them, do you take Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies? And I wonder if they do or don't. So I'll have to get back to you on that next time I'm over there, because I bet you they do.
Now, if you had the debit card, though, then you could use that.
Right. You would have to go through the transfer and change your Bitcoin over into the debit card, and then obviously you can do it straight away. Some of them, if you go off to a couple of the websites I'll show you later, is you can change it into any card that you want, or the debit card. But a lot of places, you wouldn't think that Subway, the sandwich shop, would accept Bitcoin, but they do. You wouldn't think Starbucks, the coffee shop, would accept Bitcoin. They do.
But they do.
Right. And Overstock, a big company, they do. I believe Amazon, I haven't done a transaction with them, but they say they give you a discount. That's a clue for the audience if you use Bitcoin. So it's...
I think Microsoft just came on board with using Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing where it was before when, I guess my analogy is when I watched phones come out. The first phone that I seen of a guy, he was in the supermarket, he had this phone, it was like a big walkie-talkie, and he's showing off a little, honey, should I get this bread, or should, he's talking really loud, right? Because it was new technology, he was excited about it. And everybody looked at him and says, well, what does he need a phone for, right? To get a note from the wife on bread or not. But he was showing off a little. It was kind of neat. Now, you can't pry the kids off the phones, you know what I mean? It's like, for my son to go outside without the phone being charged, it's like I'm asking him to go out there in the cold without a jacket on or something.
That's right.
It's just so funny.
It's become a necessity now. Yeah, well, very interesting. This is just a fascinating field, and I was listening to the news this morning, and Bitcoin was the subject. Apparently, Russia has now legitimized it, or is in the process of legitimizing it. So, it's happening all over the world, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. Another thing, ATM machines. ATM machines, there's lots of them in the city. I think Mike Tyson just put his, champ Mike Tyson, just put his name on on a brand. So he's branding some of these ATM machines that'll go around. Now remember, these ATM machines are not from the banks. They're from a private source that is saying, here's an ATM machine. If you want, put in dollars or put in a credit card or whatever, and we'll load onto your wallet, back to your phone again, these Bitcoins. Or if you're in a pinch right now because you just need dollars or whatever, you can take that, go to the ATM, subtract the money from your wallet, on your phone, and spit out dollar bills. So you're able to say, in a pinch, I just need a $20 bill. Okay, all I've got is Bitcoin. The ATM will do that, and they charge now. Those, as far as that goes, there's a pretty good exchange rate on those. They need to be able to make a couple. They do have to make their profit for that.
But I know smartphones have e-wallets already loaded sometimes, and does it matter what kind of e-wallet it is?
Certain ones are more friendly for others. Like there's, if your audience might understand Apple Pay or whatever. There's a lot of companies that are saying, why don't we get into the cryptocurrency business so that we'll get people adopting our unit of measure, being this cryptocurrency. So you'll find all these other ones sprouting out. But as far as the de facto standards, it's Bitcoin. Now, if you're in Apple Pay and you're able to do that with certain vendors, it's the same thing. All you're doing is making an electronic transfer of funds from A to B without having to reach into your pocket. Here's a 20. Give me some change. And then also, doing that, it's a lot easier because if there's not money moving hands between two people, there's less errors that can happen, right?
Yeah.
Where, was that a 10 or a 20? I forgot whether I gave you a 10 or 20.
Right.
I'm short at the end of the day. Nothing's ever short. It's an exact, Now, granted, I could have sent him $12.33, but it would have showed that I didn't send him $1.23. And then there's so many professional people that I believe are starting to come into awareness. Like, for instance, I talked to my tax accountant. I says, tell me a little bit about what Bitcoin, and he says, I don't know that much about it right now, but as soon as he started going through the magazines and starting to understand, it was a whole new world from finance, right? Because there's a lot of people that are investing in it, and if you look at a lot of the companies where investment dollars are going, look at blockchain, look at crowdfunding, look at blockchain, look at Bitcoin, and these all currencies, and you'll find that there's a lot of very clever people that are paying a lot of attention to that, and you'll find that on the website when you go there. They'll show some.
So Bruce, what do you think is the future with these cryptocurrencies? In 5 years from now, how's it going to affect all of us?
Well, I think there'll be less and less cash in people's wallet. Where if you go to the bank and you still see somebody walk out with an envelope full of monies, right? Because they're still in the dollar exchange. If they've got to pay labor, they've got to do something. There's still money that'll have to be moved around. So if somebody says dollar bills are going to go away, I don't think so. I believe less and less of that'll happen. Whereas if you go to a restaurant, you get 10 people there, it becomes awkward right now because do they have cash to put in? Everybody's doing these pay things. How does everybody put in $12.50 because they all have credit cards, right? So there'll be ways of making this more efficient where people are able to move money around peer to peer that doesn't require the little old lady walking down the street worried about her purse getting stolen because her savings are in there, right? And somebody stole $500 and that's catastrophic to her, right?
Well, you can take your smartphone and the bump technology. You can just touch something and it automatically transfers. But that's money from a bank where you're going through a third party, right?
Right.
But with you're bypassing all of that.
Near-field communication, the ability for one device to be able to be close in proximity to another device and make that transaction, that's there, okay?
Right.
But permission-based, just because I say your wallet's next to my wallet, it's not like you can just suck all the money out of it because it's close. There has to be checks and balances, and they're saying, there's a request to take money out of your wallet, Bruce. Are you willing to say yes to that? And if so, for how much? So, whereas a lot of companies right now, they can go into your bank account and they say, can we automatically hit your bank account for your mortgage or for whatever your monthly, and you're allowing those folks to do that, right? To say, sure, my mortgage is due on the 10th, just go into my account and just take it out. Before, you used to have to go to the bank, right, and count out the hundreds, right? Here it is, or send a check in or whatever. It's an electronic age. We're moving straight forward where also accountability. As a businessman, if he's conducting business in this area, it's all audited. You have every transaction that you want down to the penny if you want. So that's where my tax accountant said, well, that's pretty great for tax accountants to be able to know. It's not like, give me all those little pieces of paper that you've been collecting from all this stuff, and some you paid cash for, some you mix and match. So It's
Well, the world's-
accountability.
The world is changing quickly.
Yeah, it is.
So quickly.
Yeah.
Well, listen, if you're at all interested in this, and this is such a fascinating subject, give Bruce a call. Just email him first, and he'll just say, "Hey, Bruce, call me," or give him your number. Is that a good way to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're in the, and here's the deal: is I should say this: Gladia Coin is an international company because of the
Okay.
fact that Bitcoin, as I said before, could be moved from here to Paraguay or to
Yeah, everywhere.
Everywhere. That means it's an international opportunity, not just here.
Absolutely.
I am in Vegas, and I'd love to be able to meet with people that are like-minded.
Well, we're almost out of time, but real quickly, give us that email address one more time.
Vegas, VEGAS, then Gladia, GLADIA @gmail.com.
VegasGladia@gmail.com, and just say, "Hey, Bruce, saw your show, and love to meet with you." And do they buy the coffee or do you?
I'll buy it. Okay, I'll pay, and I'll buy it in Bitcoin. Fair enough.
There you go. Well, Bruce, thanks for being
Oh,
with us.
Randy, it's been a pleasure. It's always good to see you, and thank you for
Great information.
Thank you for
Just
sharing
a-
this information with your audience. It's
Absolutely
always-
fascinating. And we'll see you next week, same time, same place. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.